the road again. I'm actually on my way back to Minnesota this morning. It's Sunday morning. I went to church with my daughter and her fiance before leaving their little town in Colorado. And, I kind of leave today with a heaviness. I don't know exactly how to explain it. It's almost like I have a grief over leaving this space or these people, or it's not like I don't have family in Minnesota. Most of my family's in Minnesota. It's just my daughter that's out here. But my husband and I have felt for a time period now that we're kind of feel drawn to the west. Not necessarily Colorado, maybe Wyoming or Idaho, or I don't know exactly, but the pull has been go west. Part of it is because of the things that we enjoy doing. We enjoy motorcycling, and he likes to dirt bike, and enjoy the outdoors. I love to hike, all those types of things. But for me, a decision should be made by, is God calling you to go to a certain place? Not just do I feel like going, but is this where I'm supposed to go? And for a very long time, I have felt like I am supposed to be talking on the internet, using YouTube, using Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and all those things to kind of like share, my story, what God's doing in my life, all those types of things, right? Because there's a limited number of people who you can reach in your little church or your little town, which is great. If that's where God has you, then do that. For me, I felt the pull of sharing more broadly, which obviously I can do that everywhere, right? I'm not pinned down to a location when I choose to share my story out in the airwaves, the internet. But this pull to go west, like it's been a prayer of mine. That's when I started writing books, when I started doing this, this stuff on YouTube and stuff. I was thinking to myself, what, God, this would be great if, I can make this my new life's work. Like, I think we all need a purpose. And I really believe that God has given me a purpose of talking to people and making relationships and just sharing my heart, that people connect with me in a specific way. And I believe that. That's why I do this, But the more I was thinking this morning, the pastor at my daughter's church talked about the story of Abraham and Sarah, and how obviously he had promised Sarah that she would have a baby, and they jumped the gun and Abraham had a baby with Hagar, and then they had Ishmael, and that isn't the baby that God wanted to give them. God wanted to give them Isaac. That was the baby that was the foretold baby that Isaac or Sarah and Abraham would have, right? But they went ahead. They didn't wait. They were just a little rammy, you know what I mean? And that didn't work out so well for them. It kind of like tore their whole world apart. These two children that, have been warring for 4,000 years. They're still at war. But as the pastor was speaking, obviously I felt that intense desire. Like, it's not that it needed to be renewed. It's always been there. But the knowledge that God has a time and a place, and that waiting is good. It's not a bad thing. Waiting doesn't mean he hasn't answered. Waiting might mean it's not yet. You know what I mean? So, and the funny thing is, the last song that we sang was Waymaker, which is one of my favorite songs ever. Waymaker, miracle worker, problem. What are the words? Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper. That's what it is. Promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. It slipped my mind there for a second. Even when I don't see you, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. I just have to believe that. Like, if I don't believe that, then I'm not ready. if I can't have faith that God is doing things and he is working and he's doing it at the time when he knows is best, not maybe my time frame, but his time frame, if I jump the gun, I may not get the blessing that he has waiting for me. There might be some things that I have yet to do here while I live in Minnesota. There may just be things that need to be prepared, need to be lined up. Other people are involved. You know, we move west, we gotta find a place to live, you know what I mean? New jobs, all the stuff and things, right? Like, there are pieces, there's moving pieces here that need to be lined up. And so, you know, God can he can make things great even when we make a mess. But if I pray through this, my husband and I, we pray through this, like, I'm praying that God will just line up the pieces and have us be in the space that he wants us to be when that happens, if it happens. I'm also praying for contentment. If it doesn't happen, God, give me a purpose. I'm a person who, I think all of us are this way, but we need a purpose. And like, we all need to feel that for whatever it is. So I'm, after hearing that sermon this morning and crying my way through Waymaker, because just that song hits me. But it was such a good reminder that God's not finished. The final chapter isn't written. He's still at work. I've been sitting in the car driving for an hour and a half now. Literally haven't turned the radio on. Just been sitting here thinking and praying and in silence, saying, okay, God, can you do this? Can you help me do what I need to do, my part of it, which is to pray and wait? God, just speak to me. And obviously when I feel like I've got something I need to say, I come on here, right? Because I know there's a million of you out there that have the same struggle as I do. We see something, we feel something, and we immediately want an action. And sometimes that's an emotional reaction. Gets us in trouble sometimes. But we immediately want something to happen. And sometimes the something that has to happen is God says, you wait, you be faithful, you do what I'm calling you to do in this moment, and then let me worry about 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever it is. Let me worry about it. Let me line up all the stuff and things so that you are blessed and your purpose continues as you go and do something else. So that's my prayer for all of you guys today, my prayer for myself, that God would help me see his vision and just kind of like plug into his goodness and his time frame and his mind, that my mind would be at peace, it would be calm and content, that God would just intervene in that way. Because his way is the best. And I know I've said this before, but I've written 3 books now, and the last 2 books I wrote, Called Up and Alive, which is my story, I lived through the processes of realizing that God's way is best. And he isn't going to fail me. He never has. He never will. And the things that I learned during that desert experience, I'll call it, was beyond difficult. But it was beyond the best lessons I ever have learned in my life. So hang in there, talk to people, surround yourself with solid Christian friends that will encourage your wait, encourage you to plug into God's mind and his heart while you wait. And me, I'm gonna sit here and drive another 8 hours before I get a hotel and then have to drive more. So I'm gonna be patient and wait, and I'm gonna sing my way through this day, because that's what I do. I love to sing and worship, and that's gonna calm my mind, and I know that God is in that. And I'm gonna wait till his purpose reveals itself. There we go. Have a good rest of your day.